Most of us at the end of a good story want the fairy tale ending, and they lived happily ever after. We will deliver on that wish in a nuanced, complicated, twisty-turvy Jewish way that is close enough to a happily ever after. But first, we need to catch you up on a twist that happened after we were almost done with the production of the story. Amy's security clearance has been revoked, at least for the time being. We don't have media clearance to share much, but suffice it to say that from our research, nothing nefarious seems to be at play. Prison security is delicate, and there are many reasons for something to change. Hopefully, at some point, Amy will be able to return. And there's another complication. Marvin is away right now, learning in Israel, and he'll be back in a month, but there are no more Jewish sponsors in Monroe Correctional right now. It's just the guys. The rug of stability has been pulled out from underneath them, and now they're trying to discern what it means to be a Jewish community in a leadership vacuum. Without leadership, the situation can become disastrous, dismantling the community, or even in the context of a prison, moving our group from orienting as a tribe to operating as a gang, which has catastrophic and potentially violent methods of gatekeeping. It's not at that point yet, but the limits of the fence that Amy and Marvin drew are being tested. Amy was very clear about what the Jewish space at Monroe was for.
I always said that the space was open and welcome to anyone who wanted to be there, but I also had some rules, and those were that this was not a place for Jesus worship. I was really clear that this was a traditional Jewish space, and it was not a space where people could question the validity of Judaism. And if that's why they were there, then it wasn't the right space for them.
Non-Jews are welcome to participate in the Jewish community study and worship elements, with the caveat that everyone involved understands and respects that it is a uniquely Jewish space. Some of these participants are folks of no religion. Some are Jews by birth or Jews by choice. Others are seeking a spiritual space that affirms their queer identities. And still others are Messianic Jews who love Talmud and Jewish ritual but believe that Jesus is the Messiah. The latter hasn't been an issue until now. Their participation has been a powerful addition to the group study sessions. Yet without Amy, dormant opinions are rising up, creating significant conflict. Some express homophobic feelings, hard conversations around messianism, and conflicts around Zionism as part of Jewish identity. All the underbelly and complications of a diverse Jewish community are playing out in this group.
When I think about a gang, I think of one or two people being in charge and dictating to the rest what their behavior should be. And I think that what we've seen with this group is that there is not one leader. There are many leaders in this group, and each of them step forward in a different way at a given time.
1 year to the month after their conversion to Judaism, Ari and Josh are in leadership positions, trying their best to manage what's next, which hopefully will be, and they lived happily ever after. I'm not sure how this will end, but we're all rooting for them. This is Tales of the Unbound, Episode 7, Happily Ever After? There are 4 conversions in this story. The conversion of Gerim, the converts, affirmed through rituals with water, blood, and words. The conversion of their teachers, transfigured in mindset through personal connection. The conversion of the rabbi, metamorphosized out of hierarchical dynastic leadership through the opening of gates. And we're hoping the 4th one is the conversion of you, the listener, altered by the story to reimagine fences around the Torah in your lives. Every conversion, not just this particular one, is a multi-directional conversion. It's not just one person saving the soul of another, or unilateral education where one is the teacher as the giver and the other is the student as a receiver. Entering the gates of shared identity and community isn't decided by the rabbi or whoever holds the most powerful title. every person involved ultimately decides entrance and acceptance. Conversion is chavruta, each person transformed through one another's Torah. Traditionally, chavruta is a rabbinic approach to Talmudic study done in pairs or in small groups. In the Gemara we read,
Asu kitot kitot va'asku b'Torah. Make many groups and study Torah, for the Torah is only acquired through study in a group.
If we unwind and broaden the traditional definition of chavruta, we see an organizational theory on how to engage with one another in the wilderness. Chavruta learning is non-hierarchical. It is beyond a singular space. Chavruta is cyclical and timeless, connecting us in an ever-evolving revelation through discussion, study of those that came before us, and reimagining what it means for us today. Chavruta is the connective tissue of lineage, sharpening ourselves through shared transformation for the purpose of restoring and reimagining our world. We know that throughout our lives, our Judaism changes. Our childhood faith is not the same as our faith in our 20s, when we become parents, face illness, or experience our first major losses. Judaism has something to offer in those key moments of human experience, if we let it. When we accompany others through their transformations, our own fences around our relationship to Jewish identity and community either contract or expand. In vulnerable, authentic chavruta, they do not remain stagnant. A lot of energy around conversion is focused on the tipping point, the space between being non-Jewish and Jewish, between seeking entrance at the gate and walking through the gates. However, this is a waste of energy. The focus must be much broader than a singular tipping point, because every stage of Jewishness includes multiple phases of learning and unlearning, affirmation and rejection. In our desire to include, it's natural to want to assuage the suffering between rejection and acceptance, and hasten the entrance through the gates, often doing so by mistaking conformity for community, by trying to repeat the same words we were taught about acceptance. You are part of our tribe, so wear this talit, light these candles in this way at this time, be scared about the same things that we're scared about,
And loyal to the places and values we are loyal to.
eat gefilte fish without freaking out,
Marry one of us, talk like us, worry like us.
arrive late and stay too long like us, miss work and school on holy days like
Value
us.
what we value, do as we do. And if you learn this prayer, sung in this particular way,
Wherever you go in the world, you will know the words of your people.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasod et ha-Shabbat ledorutam borito olam.
Just like Ruth in chapter 1, verse 16, the first person in our canon who formally joins the Jewish people by saying,
Ki el asher talchi elech uva'asher,
For wherever you go, I will go.
talini alin,
Where you lodge, I will lodge.
emech ami,
Your people shall be my people,
ve'elohaich Elohai.
and your God, my God. Ruth's words are the first recorded commitment to joining the Jewish people. It's possible that this was a vow structure before Ruth says it, and she's just repeating something from a communal handbook. But it's way more interesting to think of those words as coming to her in that moment, a vow from the heart that is future-oriented and assumes change. Ki el asher telchi elech uvasher, wherever you go, I will go. Our first convert tells us across time that Judaism and peoplehood are ever-changing, that community is a verb just like Padraig Otuma describes it.
It's not a person or a thing or a place, even if the place is beautiful. Community is a verb. It is a constant conjugation of people with people.
Navigating what is next for the Jewish community in Monroe Correctional is not necessarily a crisis. It is a natural moment in the community where their fences are being pushed and they have to decide who they are, who belongs, and who does not. Conjugating the active verb of community is never really done.
I've been tasked with studying Kitisa and bringing that to the group on Shabbat and have an opportunity to present this to my brothers and have a little study together after we go through the Shavuot service. And we get an opportunity to just really dive in and read some footnotes, and I will potentially be questioned by my peers, and I look forward to it because this is what it's all about, right? So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to say, I don't know, but let's figure it out, because that's always an option. I always have that answer in my back pocket.
Their willingness to share and step out and joke among themselves, because now it has some context of studying together, and they're very patient with one another. Some people read better than others, both Hebrew and English, and they're very supportive of one another. So they've created a new tribe, their own tribe. Again, you call it a tribe, call it a gang, but it works for them.
Perhaps the clearest indication that the Jewish community in Monroe Correctional is a tribe is how they feel obligated to their shared affiliation. As Peter Block points out,
to belong to a community is to act as a creator and co-owner of the community. What I consider mine, I will build and nurture. The work, then, is to seek in our communities a wider and deeper sense of emotional ownership. It means fostering among all of a community's citizens a sense of ownership and accountability.
And that is our deepest wish for the Jewish folks in Monroe Correctional, that in the wake of their leadership loss, they will rise to what Amy modeled for them, shared leadership in a sacred community that grounds them in Jewish wisdom, personal agency, and mutual respect. But for now, the guys are devastated. They had a taste of community, hope, and love, a sense of how Jews commune on the outside, and it made them feel at least a little bit like a part of them wasn't trapped in the inside, that their souls were part of a bigger, broader world that cannot be imprisoned.
Up to this point in my life, I did not feel validated or judged to be worthy of acceptance. And this was an important time in my life to feel that validation that you are worthy. And furthermore, you're with us. And not only that, but we're going to be here for you. And we're going to hold your hand, and we're going to walk with you, and we're going to continue this journey together.
Amy taught them to see their humanity and to value it, to live out their Torah through the lens of Jewish wisdom. Amy is a mother, teacher, and rabbi for them. She held the space, created routine, and reminded them that for the time they have in this world, even in this hard place, that time can be spent doing good time. Who knows what will happen a year or 2 or 10 from now? But right now, in this wilderness period of change and uncertainty, our guys are holding fast to the tribe. Ari reminds the group of how far they've come, that they have had lean years in the community before, and that the words of Jewish liturgy, the rituals of study, worship, and Shabbat ground us now, as they always have. Josh encourages the group to have faith, to believe that there is a thread we are chasing that offers meaning, and if we hold fast to it, we will not lose our humanity. We will not devolve into a gang or calcify the fences around our community. They hold strong to the boundary of inclusion.
It's freely come, freely go. We always welcome people in that want to be part of it. So I would say with some groups, there's a very strict amount of gatekeeping, the who's in, who's out, whereas this is a place that's welcoming. We've had people come and go over the years. Some people just come check it out. But for the tribe part of it, those who have affirmed their Jewishness or been born that way feel a little bit closer to each other.
They learn Torah in Chavruta.
One of those things that Amy used to do, she would ask, what's one good thing that has happened this week and one thing that you've learned? And so through that really was my foundation of, there's an expectation that I'm going to learn something and bring something. And so I just started to learn a little bit and bring something of substance up for the rest of the guys that maybe they haven't heard or maybe they'll hear it in a different way. That was important to me. And continuing in community was also very important to me. And so every person that comes is very important and is accepted as someone who can participate in this thing so that we can all be a part of something that's very meaningful and special to us all. And that was very important, to continue showing up and continue to learn from people around me and to embrace community in a way that I had never seen it. My main obligation at that point was to show up, to be part of community.
It is so amazing to hear Ari and Josh hold fast to their values and to step into leadership in such a hard moment. But how long can it last? What happens when Ari is released? Or limitations are placed on the group's ability to congregate? Or if the Messianic Jews convert the newly converted Jews? Or any number of realistic eventualities? Our fears around durability come from a place of needing assurances that the change, and all the accommodations, sacrifices, and work that went into the change, are worth it. But we can never promise that it's worth it, or that it will all work out. Hopefully there will be Sabbaths in time, moments when it feels like, hey, this works. We made the right choices, opened the correct gates, and now everything is so much better. Which is not the same as saying, from now on, everything is better. Or that there won't be moments of flux, where it feels like this was all a waste of time, or regret swinging the gate so far open that the essence of Torah is watered down to the point that it is virtually unrecognizable as Judaism. However, we know that Judaism is on the cusp of great change, a crash. We can't know what will lead to the next Renaissance. What we do know is that Judaism has something good to offer the world that makes our lives better,
more meaningful,
more curious,
more rooted,
and therefore helps us care for one another and the world in deep ways. But if Judaism is so great for the world, then we can't keep it protected from the outside, remaining unchanged behind locked gates. In order to fully affect the greater world, there needs to be many iterations of experiments that encourage Torah to do her magic in the greater world. The exact what that will lead us into the next era of Judaism remains unclear. But the how of how we will get there is clearer. The future of Judaism will happen first in Chavruta, in small study groups. It is the orientation of Chavruta, dropping the need for hierarchy, believing in the Torah of each person, recognizing that transformation begets transformation, turning it over and over, is how we will navigate the wilderness before us. This is what we did after the Second Temple fell. We turned to one another and said, let's figure out what's next together. It took us a couple hundred years, but eventually, Rabbinic Judaism was formed. We don't know enough to describe the promised land of the next Jewish future, or what comes next after Rabbinic Judaism. All we can know is that in Chavruta, together, we will transform each other. And for now, that might just be enough. I wish I could say, Ari, Josh, Amy, Marvin, you, and me, all of us, lived happily ever after. But the particularities of life don't allow me to promise that, or that any of the transformations we make are the right ones, or will endure beyond the initial moments of change. But what I do know is that in a world of unknown endings, we have each other. Josh and Ari's conversions to Judaism were sealed with the words of the priestly benediction. So too for our own conversions into Unbound Judaism.
Yevarechacha Adonai v'yishmarecha.
May Adonai bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
May the mysterious, loving thread that connects all living beings shine a light on your face, inspiring gratitude and grace within you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
And when the holy energy that is made in Chavruta shines on you, may it only bring you shalom, peace, allowing you to live the very best version of happily ever after. Thanks for listening. It has been an honor to be part of this story with you, our listeners. Tales of the Unbound is a production of the Institute for the Next Jewish Future and part of the family of podcasts of Judaism Unbound. Tales of the Unbound was created and written by me, Miriam Terlinchamp, produced and edited by Joey Taylor, original music by Rich Hordinsky, and art by Katie Kaesner-Frenchman. Thank you, Amy, for saying yes way, for your courage and commitment to Jewish identity and inclusive community. Thank you, Marvin, for your teaching and ongoing sponsorship of the guys at Monroe Correctional. Thank you, Ari, for teaching us that Judaism believes in doing good time. To Josh for reminding us of the joy of Torah. And to both of you for your vulnerability, leadership, and untold amount of hours spent sharing your stories. We hope that you know your stories have impact, and that we all have been changed by their truth. Special thanks to DOC at Monroe Correctional who allowed access to Ari and Josh, trusting us to share a candid story about religious life behind bars, and continuing to provide a safe harbor for Jews who are incarcerated in Washington State. Thank you to my Chavrutot, the Judaism Unbound team, Dan Liebenson and B'nai Lappi, for sharpening the story and grounding it in Jewish wisdom. To our producer Joey Taylor, the ultimate storytelling Chavruta, for sparking joy in this process. Without you, this story would not have happened. And to my partner, who compassionately encouraged late-night writing, near constant "shh, I'm recording" for the last year, and accompanying me every step of the way. Thank you to all of you out there, and all people everywhere, trying their best to do good time. As always, check the show notes to find out ways you can get involved to support those who are incarcerated and for behind-the-scenes content. We'd love to hear from you, so you can email me at miriam@judaismunbound.com or find us at www.judaismunbound.com/tales. And make sure to subscribe so that you know when Season 2 is coming out. Thanks for listening. This has been Tales of the Unbound.
As iron sharpens iron, so we make our world. As iron sharpens iron, so we take our turn our world. To finish this work, but I will not take my hand from the plow, not now. As iron sharpens iron, so we make our world. As iron sharpens iron, so we take our turn our world. I may not be the one to finish this work, sharpens iron, so we make our world. As iron sharpens iron, so we take our turn our world. I may not be the one to finish this work, but I will not take my hand from the plow, not now. As iron sharpens iron, so we make our world. As iron sharpens